Welcome back to Rewind, a closer look, the show where we dig through the dustiest corners of VHS history to unearth the movies you forgot you saw, or maybe wish you hadn't. Today's trip takes us to France, circa 1987, for Terminus, a sci-fi oddity that throws government conspiracies, creepy child prodigies, and an AI made of robot lips into the mix, and somehow still manages to deliver one of the coolest movie trucks ever put on film. The movie kicks off with some slick 1980s CGI line art of the movie's claim to fame, the Farrow Glider, though hilariously, the wheels don't rotate. Early CGI, folks. Over it, we get a killer synth-laced track called End of the Line, written and performed by Stan Ridgway. Yes, the guy from Wall of Voodoo. Ridgway not only provided the opening song, but also the love theme, while the rest of the score was composed by David Cunningham. A French-only soundtrack album dropped in 1987 with Ridgway's songs and chase cues like The Grey's Pursuit and Monsters Drive. The track later resurfaced on Ridgway's 1996 EP Film Songs, and if you dig around, you can even find a music video spliced with movie footage. Because apparently even Terminus needed an MTV tie-in, we open to a limo driving into a secret rebel underground bunker, chauffeured by a guy in a neck brace with a kid in the back seat who looks suspiciously like the punk from RoboCop 2.
You look a little out of breath, bitch!
That's because it actually is him, actor Gabriel Damon, who later played Hob, the streetwise drug dealer kid in RoboCop 2, and even voiced Littlefoot in The Land Before Time. Here he's Matty, the creepy genius behind the whole game. The limo's license plate even says PK Dick, as in Philip K. Dick. Because nothing says subtle homage like slapping the author's name on a bumper. And to be fair, the movie does have some dickisms, dystopian governments, creepy experiments, AI with attitude. But here it's less Blade Runner and more Blade Blunder.
Back you on drums, everybody!
As the limo weaves through the bunker, we see rows of blue-lit computer stations manned by pale, dark-eyed operators with black lipstick smeared on like they've been huffing car exhaust fumes all day. Here we learn that Matty is the mastermind behind a so-called Game the Rules. Drive the Farrow Glider across the country to the end of the line and win your weight in gold. The government has outlawed games, so along the way, the players must evade government agents known as the Greys.
Our society cannot tolerate radical elements like you. People who play games end up thinking independently. We can't allow that.
His secret weapon is Monster, an onboard AI that takes the form of a pair of disembodied mechanical lips with little robotic arms to flap it around. And when it talks, it's got a voice like Richard Roundtree.
My program's messing up my circuits, causing my bits to be flipping when they should be flopping, huh? You know what I mean?
Yes, it's like Shaft got demoted to dashboard ornament. However, Monster was voiced by Howard Vernon, a Swiss-born actor best known for his long collaboration with cult director Jesus Franco, where he played everything from suave villains to outright madmen in Euro horror and exploitation classics. By the time he voiced Monster in Terminus, Vernon had racked up a career of over 200 credits, making him a familiar face, or in this case, voice, for fans of European genre cinema. It's also here we meet the rebel doctor, played by none other than Jürgen Prochnow. Yes, Das Boot's Jürgen Prochnow, a man who went from commanding submarines in high-art war dramas to hanging out in a blue-lit bunker while a kid genius and a robot mouth talk about death race video games. The glider's driver is Gus, played by Karen Allen, best known for her iconic turn as Marion Ravenwood in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Hello, Marion.
And appearances in films like Starman and Scrooged. Seeing her here in a French sci-fi truck movie is a wild detour from Spielberg and Carpenter, but she gives Gus just enough grit to sell the role. On screen, she kind of looks like she wandered straight out of DuckTales as Gadget Hackwrench's long-lost cousin. Gus's job is to keep the glider moving while Monster heckles her with sass from the dashboard. Soon the Greys show up in their armored vans and chaos kicks in. The glider plows through buildings, blows up gas stations, and even jumps a carnival.
Lord, please forgive this crazy woman. She don't know what she's doing!
It's got it all: classic miniature work, fiery explosions, collapsing sets, and the occasional cable you can spot dragging a van into a rollover. In short, it's a Cannon film spectacle, if Cannon had been headquartered in Paris. But Gus doesn't last long. She takes a wrong turn and ends up at the border. She gets captured, and while locked up, she meets a grizzled guy named Stump, who immediately insults her.
Girls shouldn't play with matches.
And maybe even fools around with her. The movie certainly implies it, which is wild considering they'd known each other for about 2 minutes. Before you can blink, Gus is hauled off for interrogation and they just let Stump go. Whatever happened to Gus is left entirely off camera. She's brought out under a sheet and with only a throwaway line of dialogue implying she lost a body part.
Isn't it funny? She's just lost a couple pounds of gold.
Since Stump is also missing a hand, the film hints that she suffered the same fate. Either way, she doesn't make it out. Gus dies shortly after, with her character written off as abruptly as she was introduced, but not before passing along a cryptic message to a little girl named Princess.
Between the burning and light, choose the light.
Her final request? Find Stump. Princess is played by Julie Glenn, a French actress whose career was relatively brief but memorable, with Terminus standing out as one of her most notable roles. Here, she spends much of the film clambering around the gigantic Farrow Glider and chatting with a talking robot mouth, a far cry from the prestige dramas and art house careers of her co-stars, but she gives Princess a sincerity that grounds the film's wilder elements. Stump is played by French actor Johnny Hallyday, and yes, that Johnny Hallyday. The guy was basically France's answer to Elvis, a full-blown rock star who sold over 100 million records, acted in dozens of films, and somehow wound up starring in a French sci-fi road movie. Imagine if Bruce Springsteen suddenly headlined Space Truckers and you're halfway there. Stump himself looks like half Rutger Hauer, half Tim Thomerson, and 100%, why isn't this guy in more VHS bins? He's the kind of character who downs drinks like water, arm wrestles soldiers for fun, and awkwardly half seduces a woman he met 5 minutes earlier. Using Gus's cryptic phrase as a password,
Between the light and the burning, choose the light.
He somehow unlocks the right to be the glider's new driver. How did he know that's what it meant? Your guess is as good as mine. But once Stump takes the wheel, the Farrow Glider goes full demolition derby, smashing through roadblocks, plowing into military barricades, dodging government goons, and capping it all off with a miniature bridge collapse. It's ridiculous, it's over the top, and it's exactly why this movie deserves a spot in VHS history. Meanwhile, we find out Princess had stowed away on the truck. Turns out Princess is the sister of the kid mastermind Maddie. Both are genetically engineered super geniuses, creations of the rebel doctor working for a villain who looks like a rejected Thundercats extra.
Thunder! 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 Thundercats! Ha!
A tyrant known as Sir. He's played by Jürgen Prochnow, who sci-fi fans will recognize from David Lynch's Dune, where he schemed over spice as Duke Leto's nemesis. Here, instead of galactic politics, he's scheming with super kids, demanding an army of pint-sized prodigies to overthrow the government.
We'll need at least 10 or 20 Matties in order to begin.
But the truth comes out. Princess was the first experiment, and Maddie is the second.
Matty is turning out to be just like his sister. I'm taking action to stop this game of his. Of course.
Sir wonders aloud how Maddie will take it when he learns he's not the original, and the answer is not well. As his temper and instability grow, even the Doctor and Sir start to fear what their child genius has become. Their solution: eliminate Princess and Stump before everything spins completely out of control. To make that happen, Sir calls in another driver, a rival known only as Little Brother.
Wake up, little brother. Come on, my little psychopath. Sir needs your help once again.
He's played by Jürgen Prochnow. You might remember him as the heavy in Beverly Hills Cop 2, snarling his way through Eddie Murphy's one-liners. This time, he trades Armani suits for diesel fumes, piloting a rival rig straight into Stump's path. The rival truck lies in wait for the Farrow Glider and suddenly flicks on a cloaking device, because of course it does. This movie has cloaking devices now. Monster suggests a detour.
They may not try to stop us, but I don't want to take the chance. If we take the road that overlooks the valley, we might get through without much difficulty.
And Stump, ever the trusting type, goes along with it. As the glider diverts course, Monster starts glitching out, giving away their position, and the Grey's encampment quickly spots them.
Uh-oh, Stump. Something's happening to me. Yes. No. Negative. I repeat, negative.
Monster, what's going on?
No.
Monster, this is no time to be fooling around. What the hell is happening? Come on, let's go. Follow it!
I can't figure out what's happening to my systems. That's the second malfunction.
Stump pushes forward anyway and soon comes across a massive line of vehicles waiting at the border. The plan? Split the gap?
Give or take a bumper or two.
And how wide are we?
Our maximum width is about 10 feet 9 inches.
The Greys finally catch up, surrounding the glider, but as Stump smashes through the border gate, the guards unleash hellfire. The Greys are wiped out in a fiery explosion. And once again, the Farrow Glider somehow escapes the carnage, rolling on toward the end of the line. Monster and Stump start bickering, as every mismatched duo in a 1980s sci-fi movie must. Is Monster malfunctioning, or is he just being shady? Stump doesn't know, and honestly, neither do we. Cue the obligatory AI isn't real, it's just a machine cliche that every character says right before the AI does something very real. Meanwhile, back in the bunker, the kid, Maddie, has figured out that another truck is trailing the Farrow Glider.
Doctor, I have a feeling that there's a truck following Monster.
The doctor brushes it off with a long-winded excuse about faulty instruments, clearly trying to cover up the real plan.
It's probably an echo. A little like a mirage. That's all it could be. A diffraction effect of the laser beam in the highest strata of the upper atmosphere.
Then, with all the subtlety of a Bond villain, the doctor gets on the comms and addresses the rival driver as his little brother, ordering him to do whatever it takes to stop the glider.
You can reassure little brother that we mean business.
It's never addressed, but it would appear as the doctor and little brother are clones of the Sir, just minus the red hair. The glider eventually rolls into a town called New Kroonstad, where we catch a strange little detail. A woman painting a mural in the unmistakable style of Yugoslavian-born comic artist Enki Bilal. She's even labeled it with the words, "Don't disturb. Enki Bilal, please." It feels like another wink to sci-fi fans, much like the PK Dick license plate earlier in the film. It's the movie tipping its hat to the European heavyweights of dystopian art and literature. Then comes one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Instead of the standard vehicle driving down the street scene, the camera positions itself inside a cutaway building, tracking the glider as it barrels past outside. We see it thundering by through a series of windows while the camera glides room to room, showing slices of everyday life, a family eating dinner, people minding their business, all as the massive rig rattles the walls. It's stylish, ambitious, and honestly ahead of its time. And then, just as you're buying into it, one background extra ruins the spell by looking right into the camera. It's the cinematic equivalent of someone waving at the camera during a home video.
Here's to us, baby.
Stump pulls the Farrow Glider into a garage for some downtime, but instead of fixing the truck, he goes straight for the juicy stuff, literally cutting a massive box out of the vehicle that contains Monster's brain. He threatens the AI until it finally coughs up some long-overdue exposition. Turns out Maddie, the creepy kid genius, and Princess were both created to be super smart prodigies meant to take over once Thundercat Guy's faction overthrows the government. But here's the kicker. Princess was deemed a failure because she was too human, showing compassion where the scientists wanted cold calculation. She managed to escape before they could dispose of her, leaving the project unfinished. To correct their mistake, they created Maddie, designed to be colder, more ruthless, and the perfect strategist. But even he couldn't completely escape human emotion. To bury those feelings and prove his superiority, Maddie devised the entire so-called game and the monster AI, just so he could mess with the drivers to prove his cruelty. And in the end, the entire spectacle, the explosions, the roadblocks, the endless truck stunts, was nothing more than an elaborate roundabout scheme to bring his sister back, who he knew about the entire time. That's right, the movie's grand conspiracy boils down to a high-stakes family reunion plan. Then, in classic low-budget fashion, Stump gets captured by the Greys completely off-camera. One moment he's smoking under the glider like a Marlboro ad, and the next he's suddenly in the back of one of their vehicles. No struggle, no chase, just a hard cut and he's caught. He's dragged to government headquarters where the officials try to strong-arm him into helping them capture both the Doctor and Thundercat Guy. Their pitch basically boils down to, work with us or else, which is pretty bold, considering they're asking a one-handed truck driver who's been drinking and fighting his way across the country like a sci-fi Evel Knievel. Monster and Princess seize back control of the glider from the soldiers, but not before the movie tosses in one of its strangest detours. As they're escaping, Monster suddenly asks Princess if she hears a harmonica.
Hey, Princess, did you catch that guy playing the harmonica? I can't stand harmonica players.
Sure enough, the camera cuts to a guy in a suit sitting on a chair playing a mournful tune. We never see his face. He has nothing to do with the plot, and the film never brings him up again. Was this some kind of deleted subplot? A metaphor? Or just the director trying to be artsy for 30 seconds? Who knows? To make things even weirder, in the original book, this character wasn't a mysterious harmonica player at all. It was the owner of the garage, tied up by the Greys. For the film, someone decided to swap him out for a faceless jazz phantom, because, sure, why not? Either way, the moment's gone in a flash because the Greys' master plan doesn't last long. Princess and the Farrow Glider roar back into the government HQ like a demolition derby finalist. By the time the dust settles, the officials are toast, the building is rubble, and Stump is free. Subtlety has officially left the building, but then again, nothing screams rescue mission quite like flattening an entire government office with a truck the size of a small apartment complex. The fog rolls in thick, setting the stage for yet another chase. Predictably, it ends in a massive pileup with vans smashing, flipping, and exploding. Behind the scenes, this sequence was pulled off using a wild practical setup. One truck literally served as a moving ramp, launching a driverless vehicle into the chaos, exactly like the stunt diagram shows. And then, out of nowhere, Monster pipes up with a fourth wall break and asks,
How about an instant replay?
How about an instant replay? The film actually replays the crash in slow motion, If Monster had been framed as some kind of narrator, this could have been a clever running gag. But because it only happens this single time, it feels less like character development and more like the editor sneaking in a goofy experiment. Cool moment? Sure. Cohesive storytelling? Not so much. After the big escape, Stump and Princess take a breather in a grassy field. Stump says,
"No one seems to be following us."
Which is practically begging for the rival truck to come barreling over the horizon. But nope, nothing. Missed opportunity. Back inside the glider, Stump dozes off while Princess watches a reel of stock war footage. It's that classic sci-fi trope where the robot, AI, or genetically engineered kid gets their crash course in humanity's greatest hits. Famine, war, nukes, you name it. It's the cinematic equivalent of, gee, maybe humans aren't so great after all. Then suddenly, finally, the rival truck shows up, slamming into the Farrow Glider and tipping it on its side. Out leaps little brother, who immediately douses the rig in gasoline like he's auditioning for a metal album cover. Stump crawls out, they trade a few punches, a knife wound, and a kick, and just like that, it's over. Not exactly the showdown the movie's been building toward, but at least it's something. Stump quickly gets the upper hand, taking little brother down and snatching his key, which he uses it to open the rival truck's trailer. The reveal is genuinely fantastic. Rows of clones in various stages of development, hanging from the wall and hooked up to wires. It's creepy, surreal, and easily one of the coolest visuals in the entire movie.
Make sure they have none of those disgustingly human characteristics. They're so unpredictable.
This is not a game, Marty. Use what brain I gave you.
Back at the bunker, the doctor scrambles to evacuate just as the Sir orders the destruction of the failed clones stored in the rival truck's trailer. The explosions rip through the project, seemingly taking everyone with it. For a moment, it's left hanging. Did Stump just get blown to pieces? But no, of course not. This movie isn't about to kill off its one-handed hero. Although, to be fair, they did kill off their first one-handed hero earlier in the movie, but I guess we're supposed to forget about that. Sir and the Doctor abandon ship, leaving Maddie alone in the bunker as the entire experiment is officially shut down. Meanwhile, the Farrow Glider rolls away once more, Princess having conveniently used an off-screen winch to set it upright again.
There's a winch in the back that'll help me get out of this humiliating position. Well, don't just sit there. Slip out the door and help me.
Through some vague, unexplained telepathic link, Maddie and Princess begin to communicate. She then crashes the glider straight into the bunker, and we see Stump is alive and riding alongside her. Brother and sister are reunited, and the film just kind of ends. No grand finale, no big catharsis, just smash cut to credits. The film was produced as a French-German co-production and actually ran about 110 minutes in its original cut. But when it crossed the Atlantic, it got hacked down to 80 minutes for the US release. That explains a lot of the confusing plot threads and abrupt jumps. 30 minutes of the movie were literally cut out. More recently, a collector's edition Blu-ray brought the film back in both its butchered US cut and the full director's version, complete with behind-the-scenes features and even commentary from Jürgen Prochnow. You may know him from, well, pretty much every other role in this movie. Now let's talk about the real star of Terminus, the Farrow Glider. This massive truck isn't just a prop, it's the centerpiece of the entire movie. And while it might look like pure sci-fi fantasy, underneath all the futuristic armor beats the heart of a real Volvo. A French newspaper clipping from the time even spells it out. Several European manufacturers were considered, but in the end it was Volvo who jumped on board, providing the chassis for all the prototype trucks built for the film. The glider itself started on paper, concept art by Michel Gastineau, credited under Pierre William Glenn's production team. The early sketches already showed the exaggerated grille, sloped lines, and heavy armor that would define the final design. From there, they built scale models to nail down the look before moving on to the full-size rig. Construction happened at Bonneuil-sur-Marne, just outside Paris, where the truck body was fabricated and fitted over the Volvo running gear. And here's where it gets clever. The futuristic driver's seat you see in the movie isn't where the real truck was actually operated from. The actors sat in a raised cockpit above the Volvo cab, basically on top of the truck, while the real driver handled things from below, hidden inside. Photos from the build show Glenn, Gastineau, and their team standing proudly in front of the bare chassis and later testing the finished vehicle inside the hangar. And yet, despite how important it is to the movie, information on the glider has always been surprisingly hard to track down. Unlike something like the Damnation Alley Landmaster, which has been well documented over the years, the glider sort of slipped through the cracks. That's why these rare behind-the-scenes photos, the model, the build shots, even the Bonneuil hangar location, are so valuable. They give us a glimpse into how this iconic truck was dreamed up and brought to life. And that's Terminus, a French sci-fi curiosity that somehow crams in killer trucks, creepy robot lips, clone child prodigies, and Jürgen Prochnow in more roles than you can count. But you know what? It's also weirdly ambitious. Between the miniatures, the stunts, and the sheer audacity of the premise, it earns its spot in the VHS time capsule. If you've seen it, I want to hear your thoughts. Was this a hidden gem or just a glorious train wreck? Wait, I mean truck crash. Drop your takes in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed the ride, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the dusty corners of movie history. Until next time, be kind, rewind.
Hey, can't you change the record?
Man, it's a tape, not a record. I heard it over the radio and stored it in my memory because I like it.
Yes, but you've played it 5 times in a row.
4 times, because it's soothing. It restores my spirits.
I don't understand any of it.
So who's counting, babe?
Monster Cooling.
Would you like me to teach it to you?
No, thank you. 9.
I get the point. I shut my mouth.